What is good? Today, I kind of have something that I want to talk about, and I don't know, I don't have any plan on where I want to go with it. But today's topic is embodiment of the way that you feel. And right now, I want to speak from how I feel now. And I feel an abundance of gratitude with me. And I've been feeling an abundance of gratitude recently, almost like my gratitude bucket is full. And because it's full, and because I'm feeling so much of it, it's now time for me to express it and to give it back to other people or give it to other people. Because the best part about being able to feel emotion is being able to express emotion, is and being able to embody that emotion. And as a kid, this goes back to me as a kid. And as a kid, I struggled like a lot emotionally. Like I had a good external life. I grew up in a great home with parents who were there. But as a kid, I was an avoidant. I was avoidant of myself, and I was afraid of who and what I am. Or I guess I should say I was afraid of parts of myself. And because I was so afraid of those parts of myself, those parts were the only parts that I was able to see because they became so big. And if you want to know something about me, I'm gay. And I grew up in a small conservative town, or I shouldn't say a small conservative town, but I should say I grew up in a small traditional town. And I grew up with parents who weren't surrounded by cultural ethnicity, or what is the word for it? You guys understand the word that I'm trying to say. So my sexuality was, I think, something that was hard for my parents to carry because it made them uncomfortable. And it wasn't that they're necessarily homophobic. It was just that because it was something that wasn't normal to them, it was difficult for them to carry. And I knew this from my little kid. I knew that with my dad and my mom, and they're divorced, so I got both sides of them. But because that I knew it was hard for them to carry, and because I grew up in a town where like being gay was not okay, or if, to me it was not okay, I hid. I didn't know what to do. I was ashamed of this part of myself, and because I was ashamed and all I wanted to do was shove it down, it was like the only thing that I could see all the time. And it was like I was carrying this ginormous weight with me all the time because I was trying to avoid a part of myself. And I think that you could take this with more generalized advice as well. The more you try to avoid a part of you, the bigger and heavier it's going to become over time until you have the courage or something happens in life where you have to surrender. And that happened to me. I was so depressed in high school, and like I was so depressed. I was like I remember I'd be in my car, and I'd want to just off the road, but I knew I knew I would never do that, but I knew that that's kind of how heavy this burden was. I'd wake up and I just want to go back to sleep all the time. And now I've come so far. Like I'm out. And yeah, my mom and I we're great, and my dad and I we're good, but it's definitely still something that he finds uncomfortable. And that has been, I guess, a challenge for me. And I felt like because this piece of myself was so hard for me growing up, I had to kind of grow up fast, and I had to learn how to carry something that I thought was abnormal. And again, where I'm going with this sense of being grateful is, for years I had to embody uncomfortable emotions, and the only way to let those uncomfortable emotions that were stored inside of me, what only way to let them go was to embody them, was to feel them. And when I actually started to come to terms with my sexuality and I started to do the work, I remember I'd be going to my dad's house and I'd say out loud, and I've only told one person at this time, which was my sister, was I would go, I'm gay, and I goosebumps in my body. And that was my all I would do to work on it. And then over time, I'd have more uncomfortable conversations and more uncomfortable conversations, and I choose me and I respect myself. And I'm finally starting to get to a point where there are moments where I'm still uncomfortable and like where I don't want to say it because I don't feel accepted in the space. I guess I necessarily don't have to say it to everyone. I used to feel like I need to tell everyone about it, but now there are moments where I still get scared, but it's normal. It's okay that I get scared. But what I'm saying is, if you are wanting to live a happy, content life, you have to face the things that are scary inside of yourself. And once you do it, it's something to be so proud of, even the smallest steps. And sometimes it takes some time for it to get to a point where you feel are able to feel the great emotions behind such an uncomfortable feeling. Because in those states, like, it took me years for me to actually start to feel more of a relief. It was more of like pressure taken off, but not like, oh, I feel good. It was more just pressure taken off of a giant cork bottle that was super full. And what I say with gratitude is now I experience so much gratitude because I'm able to live the life. I'm living my dream life at 23 years old. I'm turning 23 next week, and or maybe by the time you post this, I'll be 23 already. But I feel an immense amount of gratitude, and the reason why I feel so much gratitude is because I allow myself to embody it, and is because I allow myself to feel what emotion comes up in each moment, and I'm not ashamed of the emotions that I feel. And because I allow myself to feel them, they're able to pass through my body. And every time you feel them, you're embodying them. And I think it's so beautiful because when I'm in those emotions, whether I'm sad, I'm angry, and right now I'm grateful, I create. And being able to create, it just feels so great. It feels so powerful. And I'm expressing my gratitude by speaking to you. And right now, like, I'm excited. I feel my chest it feels warm, it feels light, and I feel empowered to be able to speak to camera. And something like this would scare the shit out of me as a kid. And now it's like, I'm excited to be able to post this, or I'm excited to be able to talk about this. So if you're somebody who's struggling with anything, your sexuality, or struggling with something that you don't think people will understand, just know that you don't have to struggle forever. And getting help is probably something that is going to be beneficial. But two, I think that the first step to getting help is allowing yourself to come to acceptance of what it is that you are ashamed of. And once you start to do that, eventually you get to a point where you become empty. That cork jar that was so full, that filled up for so many years, becomes empty. And when that cork jar comes empty, now you get to experience new emotion that you may not have been able to feel much of because your jar was so full before. And now, because my cork bottle gets full and then I empty it, more emotions come through. And now I experience a lot of gratitude. I experience appreciation. I experience love. I experience sadness. I experience shame and embarrassment. And I still experience those. But I allow myself to feel those. And I'm not afraid of those feelings because it's part of the human experience and it's all beautiful. But what you get from those are lessons. You get creation. You get art. You get my words. You get speaking. You get journaling. You get as a form of creation if you allow yourself to feel those emotions and you talk about how those emotions feel to you. And it doesn't need to be a poem. It doesn't need to be a song. It doesn't need to be something beautiful or some type of art that you would see on a wall or post. It could be as simple as a journal entry inside of your journal that no one else is going to see. And that is where the embodiment of the emotion comes. And it comes from being present with that emotion, not thinking in the future, not thinking in the past, but being present with that emotion and feeling that emotion through your body as you feel it. And I can tell you right now, I just moved home and I'm pursuing coaching, life coaching. I'm 23 years old and I have people tell me I'm too young to coach. I have all these doubters. I even have myself at times. But I know that this is just something that I meant to do. And I took a risk and I decided to move home and to pursue it. And I'm struggling at home, actually. And I'm struggling and I'm embracing the struggle because the struggle is what allows me to create, it is what allows me to speak. It is what allows me to have moments like this because I struggle. And I'm proud of myself for enduring through the struggle. So I'm figuring it out. I am figuring it out, and I don't have to have it all figured out. Sometimes it's about sitting in the struggle and allowing yourself to struggle and not having it figured out or not having the whole situation analyzed or trying to see the future. It's just allowing yourself to be present with the struggle because it creates a story, and that story is what you get to speak someday, either through a way that you help people or just a story that you get to speak that gets to be embodied and lived through. So if you are somebody who's struggling with anything, please start feeling it. Please start facing it. And it doesn't have to be this feel it all at once, but it can be micro moments of it to just say, oh, the first step to something is that I know that there's something I'm ashamed of, but and I know that I'm afraid to feel it. That is the first step to getting closer to where you want to be. But yeah, I think that's all that needs to be said in this one. And I just want to say that if you made it this far, thank you, and you're doing a good job. And I believe in you, and I'm here for you, and you got this. Like this, I promise you. I can say from my own personal experience that it gets better. It gets better, despite how bad it looks. And you don't have to have, like, I had a great home, but it does not, just because I had what looked like the best doesn't mean that my pain or my suffering was invalid or wasn't as great as somebody else. It's all the same in some sort of way. So you got this. I love you, and keep going.